Good day, good day, good day, good day, everybody. Socialism, the rigueur of the day. So let me go over to my browser here. Does socialism work? I don't think it does. I've been self-employed for well over 20 years, and to be truthful, I like Quora because it's succinct questions, but you Google this on good old Google, socialism will never work. Look at this, socialism record of failure, why socialism works, why socialism fails, does socialism work? No, I don't think socialism works at all. If you're an entrepreneur, and especially now in the as any average at factory work, I don't care what you are, you're going to be affected by this pandemic, and you're not going to have a lot. And look at the government in the U.S. They're not supporting their people. They're not giving them any form of handouts. And you look at here in Canada, we do have it. They've been actually pretty good about it, and it's not very much for their economy, but it's a necessity, unfortunately, for a lot of people that are not really modern, I guess, in their career. So as I said, what is wrong with socialism? This is on Quora. Some interesting quotes that came out of this. I'm sure you can go through this. I'm not going to get into the political of it, party preference. But I did like some of these points in this post here on Quora. If I can find it, it'd be helpful. First of all, you need to factor in that with socialism in the U.S. will not work. It just won't work at all. Socialism will not work at all in the U.S. because of something called population. You got 300 million people. Well, 250, 350, whatever it is. I've shown the stats. A lot of people are hurting. I've been throughout the states, namely Gary, Indiana is a really bad one. Through the drive from Gary, Indiana, all the way up into Chicago, it's just bad. I've also been through Detroit. I know Detroit pretty good. I've been through Buffalo with a lot of abandoned warehouses, and when Buffalo was in its peak, I could go on about when I took a bus ride. A weird fantasy I wanted to complete as a bucket list was to do a bus ride, and it was during the South by Southwest in 2000, 2001, and basically took a bus from Toronto, Canada into Detroit, and I'll tell you, going from Toronto to Detroit was pretty good. But as soon as you cross into Detroit, you see the difference, and then you're taking a literal bus. I mean, there was over 48 hours straight, but it went from Detroit to Chicago, and then from into the Austin, Texas. I will tell you, there are pockets of wealth in the U.S., but majority of the states is in dire straits in Midwest, and when you try to apply socialism to that with a $27 trillion economy, it ain't going to work. It works well in cultures that accept it, namely in the Scandinavian, like Norway, not Norway, Sweden. And I don't know if Finland would be considered socialist. I don't even think they are true socialists, any of these Scandinavian, but they have Scandinavian policies. So let me show you an example of what we're talking about here. So again, will socialism work? The failed idea that never dies. A good old Bernie. I call him Colonel Sanders because he kind of reminds me of it. A lot of these people that take power, be it whoever, and you're going to see this now, if Joe Biden completes and becomes the president, you'll see a lot of hypocrisy. You're already seeing it with Governor Newsom being caught in that high-end French restaurant in Napa, and just recently the mayor of San Francisco, and good old Nancy Pelosi, I call her Skeletor for a reason, who went into the salon in San Francisco at 3 in the morning, hoping not to get caught. This is the hypocrisy that these elitists have. And as I said, I don't get political, but even on the Republican side, you could probably say the same. So these are the problems that happen. And then the big popular one is that go ahead, tax the rich, tax the wealthy. So France tried it under Hollande, and it didn't work. Here, this article at theguardian.com, they taxed up to 75% of their wealthiest. Okay, and this guy was a hardcore socialist. Okay, for him to have the audacity to do this and tried it, where did it go? Nowhere. To force the wealthiest to dig out the country out of the economic crisis, but was accused of being anti-business. And France is still anti-business. I mean, I don't know how much it costs to start a business. I know in Switzerland it's 20,000 Swiss francs just to get a corporation going. You're not going to do very well, and this is why you have Europe, which is half socialist, dying, because the entrepreneurial spirit has died thanks to socialism. Also, the other problem is with Canada, where I'm at. We have a skirt-wearing prime minister. You can tell which direction I go, but I'm not getting deep into it. But he's done a lot of damage to Canada as well. I mean, he said he would only add about $10 billion to the deficit. Well, when you look at our deficit 5 years later, apparently it's over $1 trillion. We're socialist in a lot of countries. We have the universal health care. We have some provinces that are government insurance and da-da-da. It does not work, okay? When you look, I can tell you firsthand experience when it comes to Ontario, Canada, where I live, for universal health care. We used to have the best health care in the world in the 90s. Now you don't even see it in the top whatever. And any form of metrics out there, especially if it's coming out of the UN, says that Canada has the best healthcare in the world. Please, I can tell you stories, and this is if the U.S. went socialist as well. I can give you some personal first-hand experiences where I had something called brucitis in the hospital. I waited over 14 hours to get help. None of the nurses helped me. None of the I had even a janitor try to get the attention of the nursing desk and the pain that I was in. And I'm not kidding you when I say 14 hours in Canada's largest hospital. Nobody cared for me. Absolutely didn't. Nobody cared for me. Meanwhile, we had, from the area I was in, this is a Sunnybrook Hospital in Toronto. If people know about Toronto, that's in the neighborhood of one of the wealthiest neighborhoods in Toronto. So we had hockey players like Doug Gilmour and his little baby came in, got better service. All these wealthier was in and out throughout the night, and I wasn't even looked at, and I had something called brucitis. And I'll tell you all the horror stories that I've gone watching both my parents die of cancer. With this, we had one doctor who did not give a rat's ass about this situation. And you really think that socialism is going to work? It doesn't. Okay, I could tell you it makes me angry. And I'm not saying that private is any better. It's not. But I will tell you that socialism does not work. Okay, so again, you try to tax the rich, you're going to get meager results. And worst off, these are the people that create jobs. Okay, these are the people that create jobs, take the risk on business, and you be anti-business. That's your situation. That's fine. But all you're doing is just killing off the entrepreneurial spirit, especially during this pandemic. I could go on about a barbecue shop, but yet half a kilometer away, you have Costco serving up, hot dogs, no problem. They're allowed to stay open. The hypocrisy, it just blows my mind. So even if socialism comes along and tries to control this, it won't work. Is there a better median? Yeah, sure. Just look at Switzerland. It's a true democracy. Just look at the politics of how Switzerland works. It enables individuals to run. It enables where a party does not rule the entire levels of government in the party, or a party does not overrule all the different functions of the country, and it's also in a federation among 26 cantons, I believe. Switzerland's the perfect society when you look at it from wealth, gun regulation, which they have, but I think they're one of the highest concentration of gun owners in the world. No crime. I could go on about Switzerland. So that is a true democracy. The U.S. is pretty well broken up with this three branch government where one party gets in, another party controls the other parts of the government. It just breaks down. That's why it's failing. But true democracy in the U.S. used to work up until, I'd say, the 90s, until Bill Clinton was in power and everyone got along on both sides of the aisle. And that's why it worked. And that's why the U.S. still had a fairly low government debt. It was only up to $5 trillion up to 2000. And then since then, that's when chaos started to come in. So that's the failure of the system. It has a lot to do with democracy, but it's how it works. It's how it's instituted. And if you ask me, there needs to be an overhaul in countries like Canada, for sure. UK, and Canada works really off of the UK system. And the US doesn't work either. I'd say the US is more chaotic than the other two. I don't know how the other countries work out there. So there's that. Socialism will not work. This guy, Hollande, is a really, really good example of it. And I'm going to put the articles here on this. So the key here is you don't have a job, you don't have income. How's the government going to pay out your UBI, your universal legit? But 5 years from now, no, it ain't going to work. And with the Great Reset, it ain't going to work. They're just like the great wizard behind that curtain in the unfortunate it's not fortunate, not unfortunate, unfortunate Wizard of Oz, but it's a good example. So all of these examples I show you does not work. We need to look at other governments like Switzerland and why it works. Why is it wealthy? Why does it have low tax, but yet at the same time it allows people to have guns? Okay, it's also a cultural thing as well. That's another big thing as well. So socialism doesn't work. And I'm going to do another video, but it's going to lead into tax. Okay, tax is the ultimate killer of any economy. Okay, so you got Mr. Hollande, who's a socialist, and he ended up going against socialism, trying to institute these wealthy tax. Dragonfly, thanks for commenting. Socialism is different from pure socialism. Don't conflict the two. I don't know the difference between democratic socialism and pure socialism. As I said, I'm not here to talk politics. I guess I'm leading into it. But pure socialism, if you can give me an example, your article is from 2014. Yes, but this is historical. This is an example of why it doesn't work. This guy was a socialist from a socialist party. France tried it. It does not work. Okay, any person that lives in La La Land doesn't get it. You go against business and be anti-business, you're killing the economy that supports a lot of people. Good example, Amazon, when they went into and proposed to have HQ2 in New York, and little crony crybaby AOC destroyed that opportunity. That would have been $30 billion in tax for the city of New York. They don't have that anymore because the crybaby AOC doesn't understand about tax. It was a credit from New York City, the government. No $3 billion given to them. It was, we'll give you $3 billion credit in your tax if you can meet a metric of providing New York of $30 billion. They would have been netted up $27 billion in tax. That means they would have been able to fix their subways. They would have been able to address their homeless problem. They would have been able to address. It doesn't work because that was a really lost opportunity, all thanks to AOC and her little pals. Now, when it comes to France, Anywhere in Europe. It works for, and I haven't mentioned this, in low populations, okay? Sweden, it can work. But am I a fan of it? No, because it doesn't allow businesses, small businesses, to flourish, okay? When you look at the cost of trying to start up a corporation or any business in Europe, it's costly. Here in Canada, if I want to start up a corporation, it would cost me no more than $1,000. So any little person that has a business idea can start a corporation and flourish and provide lots of jobs for people and bring up the standard of what these socialists want to provide. I've been watching enough Karl Marx videos, and it's a kiss of death for anybody. I've talked about the political, BLM, 2 of the 3 founders are socialists, okay? Understand this. But again, I've already talked about that. But the point here is this form of political or capitalistic, economic, whatever you call it, does not work, okay? Unfortunately, it does not work. So, what's happening is when you get governments like here, France, socialist, that was socialist. Look at the corruption that's come out of it. Look at Venezuela. Venezuela used to be the wealthiest country in South America, and look where it's at now. Here's a question from Imran. You can vote your way into socialism, but you'll have to shoot your way out. That's true. People don't know this, but when you look at, and this is near and dear to my heart, with Jewish, okay? 6 million Jewish people died. And part of that was my family, okay? I had a small, tiny family, and I can also say the same thing about many other families out there that was Jewish, okay? Because of what Nazism did, we in the West are in early stages of it. We're not allowed to have political freedom. We're not allowed to have political opinion. We're not allowed to openly criticize any of this. All this stuff gets suppressed. And this is because of the equivalent of the Nazi youth, because of the Nazi brown shirts. When they went into countries like Austria, Poland, they went in, and parts of Austria and Poland are good examples. When the Nazis went in, they went in and having a lot of their youth brainwashed. That's where the Nazi youth came from. They wanted to make sure that everybody stayed in law and order when it came to the Nazis, okay? When you compare where things are at today, and I've talked about it, especially, I hate to say it's brilliantly played out, but when you look at some of the chaos in the streets, and I'll say Antifa is one, okay? Don't stop to think that they just suddenly came out of nowhere, okay? These are early stages of potential really bad things, no different than Nazi Germany, and they go on about fascism. It's a veiled threat that leads into other things. They're taking away the ability for businesses to be started. They're closing down small business, but why do you think they allow the Walmarts, the Costco's to still sell product that they were shutting down stores that were selling the same thing that were mom and pop? Think about it. It's the elite. It's the people in Davos, in UN, in all of these Bilderberg conferences that pre-plan all this stuff. And people don't get it. And it's reality. What they said that was considered a how shall I say? I'm going to put myself on camera. Okay, here we go. So as I said, people don't understand what I mean by this. Is that what's going on out there, it's all part of a grand plan, okay? What I do, I'm an independent on other people. I build algo trading for my own needs. I can build my own wealth from it. I'm smart enough to be able to identify trading opportunities, okay? And look at China. China's the ultimate socialist government out there, okay? They're the ultimate socialist government out there, without a doubt. But they still allow capitalism to flourish in the country. They can still trade, and I'm not talking about just trading as a business, but trading as an independent trader in their stock market, okay, and other forms of that. That's why China is very wealthy. There's aspects of China I'm not happy with, but it is a socialist or a communist party, but they still allow capitalism. It's a balance that sort of, I'm not going to say completely works, but sort of works. So any person out there that is stuck and has their head up their ass, okay? And here's the thing. When you're 20, 25, even 30, okay, here's the problem. Is that they're so hardcore about socialism and it's all great. By the time they hit 50 or 45, they finally mature, they finally winds up, and they become a conservative. Many people, it happens to, okay? They become conservatives by 45. Why? Because they start to understand, and they start to take responsibilities where they may get married, start a family, have 2 kids, and they start to realize that, oh, I've got 2 kids that are dependent upon me. Doesn't matter whatever I do, whatever I say, 2 little kids are going to be dependent on them. You have a mortgage to pay. Do you think socialism is going to give your little kids college? Or do you think your kids, 2 little kids, are going to do any of that? No. So Imran says, Churchill said the same thing. Thanks. But at the end of the day, a lot of these kids don't get it. And as I said, a lot of them will end up being conservative. So that's another thing. But anyways, I don't want to go on about it. But I'll put the links in. Thanks for being part of this. As I said, I don't want to get too political, but I think I've gone enough on my little rant here. And I'm going to do another one on tax. So if you want to watch that, thanks for watching. Have yourselves a good day. And before, if you want to follow what I do and be independent from all this BS, I'm going to be putting out interactive brokers, bots, technology to take advantage to provide your own income. There's all sorts of things you can watch on YouTube, be it Amazon drop shipping. That's a scam in itself. Real estate is not working for a lot of people because there's a lot of people that can't afford to pay rent. That's a business model that's not going to work for you. Other things that don't work, except trading. And that's what I focus on. But it's hard. And if you want to talk about it, you can always go to my Quant Labs questions here. Okay, and as I said, you can also go to fill out this form if you want as well to get the world and your potential income and steal it from you, which we're going to talk about next. Another video about tax and how it's the ultimate theft out there. Okay, we'll talk to you later. Keep your chins up. And thanks for watching again. Thanks for the comments from Dragonfly and Imran.